Hey, everybody. Welcome to another podcast where myself, Jen, and Joe have a really special guest. And we got Cisco, who is one of us, right? He's a real estate investor. He's a dad. And he's making things happen now. So I'm excited to have you on. We're doing a deal breakdown today. So thank you so much for joining, Cisco.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me.
So I want to talk about you, right? So who is Cisco for some of the folks? What part of the country are you in? Tell us a little bit more about you.
Yeah, so I'm out of Davenport, Iowa, or most commonly known the Quad Cities. And I've been doing real estate I think for about 8 months now. But what's crazy is before that, I had no sales experience, no real estate knowledge, nothing like that, honestly. It's just me, my wife running the business, and hanging out with our 12-year-old, and it's been fun. It's been a journey. It's just manufacturing came out of nowhere. And I was struck by the Purple Bible a little bit, right? I was reading a little bit of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, but it struck me, I think, a little bit different than most. And I literally took action that day, and I turned on my first podcast, and 8 months later, here we are.
Wow.
Bam, buddy. I mean, like, holy cow, right? So when we all met and you were like, hey, Joe, like, I want to learn more about real estate. Like, you had a background before this besides a podcast, or was that it?
No, so I tried a little bit of coaching, but I didn't make it far because as soon as they said, well, you got to stay at your job for 2 years and, have good credit and everything. I'm like, I have credit. I just worked 12 years at jobs, and it just struck me in ways. I'm like, I'm not going to a bank, man. I just, went credit, debt free. And so I did that for a couple months. But as far as I got with that was setting up my LLC. I'm not joking. That's it. And then, I heard you on the podcast, and I think I called you that day.
Well, I got to say, the thing I've always loved about you is, like, you are an action taker. And I will tell you the biggest difference between successful people and the not group are just taking action, right? And there's been times I've actually told you, like, slow down, buddy. You're doing a lot and you're doing so well. But I usually don't have to say that. So, what is it about you that makes you take that action no matter what?
Fear. I'm afraid to be afraid. I don't like fear. So anytime I feel fear, I just do it. And when I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, it was like the fear of staying at this job. I was like, I got to get out. And so once I realized, oh, there's a way in the real estate, and then I started learning there was other ways, and then creative finance came into play, I was like, oh, this has got me all over it, right? And so I had a talk with my wife, and I said, hey, I've been listening to these podcasts. This is what I want to do. And I want to make these big changes. And basically, here pretty soon, I don't want to work for anyone. And this is the only way. And this is the only way that's going to work. So basically, any step into real estate, like, I can't bring myself to say I don't want to get on the phone, or I'm too afraid to, because I feel like I'm not doing my family any honor if I'm not doing everything I can to make that work, if that makes sense. So,
well, you can see your passion behind it.
Mm-hmm.
You could feel it. So if you're not seeing it and you're listening, you could feel, your passion behind it every bit of the way. And I think this is why you are going to be wildly successful, and no matter what you do, because you also have a hidden talent. Well, not hidden because you display it, but you're also an artist too. So with some amazing talent. So not only is it just a real estate guy, like, you're great at a bunch of stuff. So that's awesome. So we're going to talk about your first deal. You did a deal. You've done a bunch now, but we're going to talk about your first deal. So everybody says, hey, Joe, like, I watched 2 video modules and I haven't gotten a deal yet. So did success come really quick and easy for you, or did it take some time and work and effort?
Oh, no, it took time, work, and effort. There was a couple that, you're new. I thought were a couple deals, and they came really fast, and they didn't happen. And instead of, like, being down, it's like, no, we got to go forward. So, no, so this one, I'm sorry here. I'm sorry. Can you repeat that for me? What you're gonna have?
So your first deal, was it quick and easy, or did it take some time to find it? And because I had some people like, hey Joe, like, you know, is this hard? Do I like turn it on today and have a deal tomorrow, like knocking on my door? And, you know, is this a get rich quick overnight thing? And, you know, I explain it takes some time, right? So what was that experience for you?
Yeah. So this one actually took 6 months, and I start that from, you know, from the podcast, you know. So this took 6 months, and I feel like the reason it took so long, it was just to kind of like build up that momentum, right? Because I'm a manufacturer out of nowhere, and all of a sudden I buy houses, right? So we got to build that up. So, you know, putting out ads and stuff like that, bringing in those leads and getting that practice in. Again, I had no sales experience whatsoever. So, you know, even when those leads was come in, I could feel it's like I'm getting better with each one. You know, each one I'm getting a little better. And, you know, when the time and circumstances are right, you know, I'll be able to make it happen. So yeah, no, this one took six months of just networking, posting, and just letting everyone know what I do.
Yay. So you're branding yourself.
Yeah,
right?
you really laid the foundation for who you are and what you do. So let's talk about that a little bit. So you're using Facebook to generate leads. So what are some things, like looking back, that you were doing to get yourself ready to do that first deal?
Yeah, so I was doing the famous blue ads, right? I was posting out the famous blue ads, and honestly, I'm the type of guy, if you tell me something like, hey, this is how you generate leads, I'm gonna go do it. If you don't want me to do it, don't tell me. Because I'm doing it, and I'm taking it from 0 to 100 right now. So yeah, that's where that one came from. I, you know, posted some blue ads. I was getting those in, and
so no money on marketing. So you're not spending not one penny on generating off market leads.
No, $0. All just a quick little Facebook, and just my, you know, my face, just my branding, and letting people know.
Bam, that's a win right there, guys. I mean, I'm just warning you, Cisco is dropping like golden nuggets already. Okay, so you're generating leads for free. You're extremely passionate. You have a burning desire to be successful. You have your why, right? So like all of the reasons why. So you put in some work, you didn't get success overnight, and you didn't quit. Even when it seems like I came close to a deal and for some reason it didn't pan out, you just kept moving forward. And so you have some tenacity to you too. You need to be able to you know, see failure once in a while, because knowing that much closer to that win is what counts. So so your first deal, 6 months later, they saw the blue post in a Facebook. They reached out to you by raising their hand, basically saying, I have a house for sale online. So it wasn't like you saw them in the front yard or anything. Right. And then you have the conversation with them. So why were they wanting to sell this house?
Yeah. So she said she was selling. She said her husband was in prison now, and, you know, the bills were too much, and she couldn't afford the place anymore. And basically she'd run out of options. And she was just, you know, kind of throwing a fishing line out there to see if there's anything anyone could do.
So, and this is where a lot of folks say, like, who would respond to a blue ad? Who would see a Facebook post and do that? Well, there's people have multi-million-dollar houses, or somebody in this situation. There's a long list of reasons why. This is just one of them to be on there. So she reached out. You guys are chatting about her situation, found out her why. Did you make the deal immediately, or did you have to, you know, have a few conversations with her before she was like signing on the dotted line?
Yeah, no, we didn't make it initially. And one of the things where we were working out, you know, how we were going to do it, because she was actually open to a creative finance option, and it would have worked for her even with the timeline. However, once we really got to looking into the property, it's basically part of it was renovated and the other part was gutted, and they were living there. And so, you know, then she said, you know, hey, cash is better, and she threw out her number, and it was just like, you know, we weren't quite there, and we were like, okay, well, you know, here's our options, and you know, maybe we can work on, you know, maybe the number or some terms, and, you know, let's follow up, right? And so that's what we did. It was, I would say it was 3 days later, right? I'm going through my leads, I'm looking at my follow-ups, and up to this point, I had looked at the deal and everything, and I'm just like, what she's asking for it and what's going on and where it's at, like this isn't gonna work for a cash deal. And so that's as far as I got with like the house. Like I kind of ran an ARV, but I didn't really even look at, what would it really need to be worth or get under for cash. And so I'm going through my leads and I get, right to her name and I take a deep breath and I'm like, oh man, here we go, right? Because now we're going to have that hard conversation. And when I said that, and mind you, I want to kind of, so in my notes, it actually says possibly no deal, right? So I prejudged it and I put that on there. So I take a deep breath. I see that she's coming up and I'm like, all right, I'll call her. As soon as I say that, she calls me. And I answer the phone. I'm like, hello. And she's like, hey, it's me. You said you were going to follow up. I know it's noon, but like, what's going on? Are you going to buy my house?
Wow.
Yeah.
So you have a motivated seller, right? So motivated, yeah. She's doing the follow-up, right? She beat you to it.
Yeah.
You're going to, but she beat you to it. That's showing the level of motivation. So guys, let me tell you a little bit of another tip. Deal with motivated sellers. And if they're not highly motivated, they're going to have other options. But when you're finding motivated sellers, they follow up with you. And this happens to us too. So great point.
Yeah.
So she's chatting with you. You're going over a few different options, right? Of, do I do cash? Do I look at creative finance? Or how can we make this a win for the seller? So you finally agreed on.
We agreed on cash.
Okay.
Yep. We agreed on cash. And the motivation, the motivation runs deep. This is a single mother of 8 kids. Her husband's in prison. They started renovations before he went into prison. So there's some renovations, but it's mostly gutted.
And you got 8 kids in the house.
8 kids in the house and you're by yourself. Now it gets so when she's buying the house, she's actually buying it on contract, right? She's buying it creatively. She has the deed, but her rates are insane and she's behind on her payments. And so there's so much motivation there. And she's literally like, hey, I'm like basically just gonna leave all my stuff behind, leave all my keys. And like, well, it's your house. You don't have to do that. So yeah, the motivation was there. We landed on cash, and I just asked, I said, the last time we talked, you said you were hoping for 75,000. Is that the best you can do? If I'm covering the closing costs, there's no commissions or any fees, and I'm buying it as is that the best you can do? And she's like, well, I'd maybe be willing to do, 55. And I didn't say anything. And she's like, she's like, the best I could do is 40, but I need this sold right now. She's like, I need it sold right now. I just need to get this guy paid off. She's like, and so we're like, all right. And so mind you, again, I had to run the numbers on this, but you tell me that a house with a brand new roof, siding, basically a blank canvas, all the meat and potatoes, the plumbing, electric, all that is good. And it's a 4-bedroom over 2,700 square feet. You tell me you're going to sell me that for $40,000. If you can count to 10, that's a deal.
Right.
So, then I'm like, okay. And she's like, well, the thing is I'm basically being, basically foreclosing. And like, I have like 15 days, and I'm out of here. And so now that the clock's ticking, it's like, okay, the clock's ticking, her husband's in prison. And so I'm like, wait a minute, if your husband's in prison and you're married, we're going to need power of attorney. And she's like, I already got that. And I was like, oh, great. Right. So we have everything. And then I'm like, how am I going to get rid of this for 15? Well, couple months before, I had a conversation with Jenn. I was having a down day, right? I was having I think I was just having like a breakdown, like, oh my goodness, I'm putting out all these ads and it's been so long. And Jenn's like, just keep doing what you're doing, take a little break, but network. I said, because there was a meetup coming up. She's like, go to that meetup. And what I didn't tell her was I really didn't want to go. I didn't. That was on Friday we talked. Monday was the meetup, and I met a guy. It was a wholesaler. By the end of that meetup, he gave me a list of all of his leads, and I had his buyers. He was done with Iowa. He just didn't want to deal with it. I couldn't believe it, right? So he told me he'd send me those, and a month later he sends them to me. We get in contact. So once I get this deal, I get a hold of him. I'm like, hey, I have this deal. I only have 15 days. Like, what can we do? He's like, oh, I actually have a guy that I sold one house to there. He's always looking for stuff. So it was like every star aligned, right? Yeah. So we get that locked up on a Sunday. We walk it with the buyer on Tuesday. And he likes it. And we tell him, hey, we'd like to, he offers to buy it for 52. We wanted 55, and we're like, not far off. All right, that's fine. And so we wrote it up. Well, right after that, we were talking to the seller, and she goes, hey, I appreciate you buying this house, but if you're buying it for 40, I'll walk away with nothing, but I won't walk away with debt. And I was like, well, if it's not a deal for me, it's not a deal. Or if it's not a deal for you, it's not a deal for me. And so what we did was we actually tacked on another 5,000 on there. And this was very crucial to the deal, but we didn't know this at the time. I'm just doing good business. And so we do that. We go to the closing table. Everything's good. We go to talk to our lawyer, and our lawyer actually tells us, Cisco, this deal almost didn't go through. We had to do so much work because the guy that actually, really that she owns the debt to was making this so hard and did not want to sell. We actually had to talk him into and let him know that this is your best option. This is the best option for everyone. And he goes, he wanted more, but luckily he wasn't going to take a dime less. So we were able to actually up that there as well. So it actually worked out. She, we come to find out she owed even more than what we thought. So that extra 5,000 took care of that.
So holy cow, because think about it, like you come in, you save the day, you save 8 kids living in a work zone, which is always kind of, a little iffy, because I've been to these houses, we've done them, so I can't imagine having 2 kids, but I had 8 running through it because I've got 2 of my own. I can't imagine 6 more. It's stressful, right? Her husband's in jail. This lady's got a lot going on. She's about to lose her house, and then here you come out of nowhere and help save the day, right? Even willing to pay more money for the property. Didn't know it was, going to make the difference, but you're doing the right thing, doing good business. And that's what it's about, helping people. So,
and I love how you're sharing too. It reminds me of Think and Grow Rich, the 3 feet from gold story, which I talk about a lot, where Darby is a gentleman literally digging, and he walks away and he ends up being 3 feet from a gold mine, could just make so much money and do wonderful things. But you were in that point of this is hard. I just want to quit. Things are not working as quickly as I want them to. And it's such a statement and a testament to everybody who is an entrepreneur. There are hard days. And so we say, take a rest, take a break, right? But because you didn't quit and you went to the meetup that you didn't want to go, you listened to your feelings and didn't go to the meetup. So I'm just so stinking proud of you, Cisco, for just going and showing up, but then also sharing that story, because I really think listeners and viewers they'll resonate with that, because it's a human trait of man, I just feel so defeated and it looks so easy. Everyone else just makes something happen overnight, but the reality is overnight took 6 months, and that's the part a lot of people don't see. So
well, and this is why everybody everybody in our coaching group always looks up to Cisco all the time as, a huge inspiration, because he always comes dropping the best, coolest stuff, doing deals, and everybody loves hearing it, and really became a leader in our community too. So thank you on so many, fronts there. So my question to you is, what kind of advice would you give yourself or anybody else right when you picked up that first podcast and you're okay, whoa, if somebody's in that spot right now, what kind of advice would you give for that new person just looking to get started?
You can do it. Just take action. You can listen to podcasts all the time, right? But you can listen to podcasts while you're taking action. The most important thing is doing something, taking that step, because eventually you've climbed a mountain. That's really it. It's just do something toward your goals. Ask yourself that, what am I doing right now, right this second, that's helping me get toward that goal. And I ask myself that, and that's what gets me up. to work.
Like I say, you're one of the hardest working guys I know. I do. And that's why I see the momentum. I see the progress. If anything, I have to tell Cisco once in a while, like, hey, maybe take like a half day off, right? Like, because you're doing so much, and it is a lot. But you know, this is, you're living your dream, and either you're living your dream or you're living somebody else's dream, right? And the fact that you're getting to do this for you, your family, you know, you got beautiful family, all the reasons to be successful, all the reasons to work hard, and you're accomplishing it all just one day at a time, right?
Yeah.
So,
and it's insane. Yeah, that's awesome.
Wow. Well,
and
guys,
I gotta say, like, we want everyone to go follow your page, because you really are the walking, talking billboard of like branding and showing up. Like, you do lives on Facebook, you share videos, photos. So if you want to go follow Cisco, where can people find you?
So I am on Instagram a little. The best place to find me on Facebook. If you want to find me on Instagram, you can look up Cisco Brown art. You'll see some artwork there as well. Otherwise, Facebook is the best place. Cisco Brown Jr. You'll see me and my beautiful wife there. And I mean, honestly, I'm always open for. I love talking real estate. I'm always around. It's what I do. It really is. It's crazy that I'm in this position. I was sitting in a manufacturing job, building the same thing over and over, listening to these podcasts, doing this, putting out ads, doing these leads. And it's so crazy because I look back and I'm like, I worked that hard for other people for 12 years. I can work twice as hard for myself and my family, right? And that's the cool thing. So yeah, Facebook, Instagram, reach out. I'd love to chat.
Well, guys, you're going to see Cisco back here a whole lot often, because this is a 20-minute deal breakdown episode. And Cisco's a repeat. I mean, he's just doing them. So he's definitely going to be back for sure. And we're going to already get that on the schedule, because, boy, it is just exciting to watch you grow. So keep up the great job, Cisco. Once again, that's why we love having you part of our group. So
yeah, thank you so much for being here today, Cisco. We appreciate your time. And guys, if you're listening and you're like, well, how do I follow Cisco's footsteps? Then check out our website, creativefinanceplaybook.com. Schedule a call with us. We'd love to chat. I'll never forget our first call together, Cisco. I was walking back up in Rochester, New York. We were at a lake, and I had the gorgeous view, and you were telling me your goals and dreams. And you were telling me, like, I'm not doing this forever. Like, this is it. Like, I'm jumping ship, and you just tell me what I got to do. And I said, well, take that messy, massive action. And here we are all these months later. So proud of you. Thank you for being here today.
Yeah. And thank you, everybody, for listening. And if anybody's got any questions, or you have a question about a deal, or you just want to even pick my brain for a few minutes, 15 minutes, call myself, 585-207-2240. And I would love to help you too. And, get around some great people, guys. And that's the name of the game. And watch us all grow together. So thank you once again so much for being on, Cisco. And we will be seeing you soon. And we'll see you tonight for our coaching group. So we'll see you later.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, everybody.